welcome to October here on the Jeff Meacham Network. And it is Dads, not always on wrestling because it's Friday. And we just went over, I mean, the calendar says, isn't that crazy? It's October, right?
I mean, I know I'm looking in a 2022 planner, but still, like, where the hell did the rest of the year go?
If your 2022 planner has October 2021, you got the right planner from work. I'll tell you that right now. Good stuff.
Actually, I think it might, at least have like a little, how some of them have the last couple of months of the year.
Yeah, I mean, most of these calendars now are 16 months, right? You had the last four.
Exactly.
Exactly. Alexander the Red, for example, great job on her. She always has a month before, a month after. We love Alex for that. So hopefully we get back into calendar production for her now that the COVID is lifting-ish. We'll see how it goes. But this is Friday. If you watched last week in this time slot, you saw a review of the replay, I should say, of his review of Dawn of Justice. So we are in October. It is time to get spooky here on the Jeff Meacham Network, and you can see all around us the demonic confines of the hell in a cell. And we are going headlong into the most demonic structure in WWE history. Two quotes really stand out for me for this match. One of them has nothing to do with Hell in a Cell. The other one very much does. When they were going into arguably the most famous cell match in history, Jim Ross said, "It is a perverse, diabolical structure," amongst other things, the words he used. And then Michael Cole was often quoted as, "Tonight, careers will be changed and lives will be altered forever," or something to that effect. Every time you step into this cell, that goes without saying. You will walk out of this place different than when you walked in. And for the people you're going to see on these two lists today, I have a funny feeling they've walked out of this thing so many times, they're walking funny the rest of their days. It very much is inhuman. We've seen the evolutions of the Elimination Chamber and, the various cages in the different companies. And this structure itself didn't really originate in WWE necessarily, but it was perfected there, of course, back in 1997, which is 25 years almost. Crazy. And now that I've talked for well over almost 3 minutes now, I am Jeff Meacham. You are watching Dads. It is Jeff Meacham Network. And to my left is the Renegade himself, JJ. Like you said, man, it's October. What the shit?
I know. And you're probably tired of me today as it is, because with any luck, you've left my review of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde to come over here to see even more of me alongside the professor himself as we enter this structure. And I mean, for a couple of guys like us, I don't think we ever thought we would enter this structure, but at least not in any kind of real level. So this is the only way that you will ever find either one of us inside the confines of Hell in a Cell.
Well, it's funny. I don't know how they've done it in recent years. They haven't really had access the last couple of years because of this pandemic nonsense. But I know in years past, they've had the cell set up at different access events. So there was the opportunity. It's just, am I going to fly 3,000 miles to go to WrestleMania and pay that kind of money? No. So, it just kind of, as the Greg Cherry shirt design says, it is what it is. So you're right. This is a unique, and we've talked about the cell before. We've talked about Hell in a Cell on our shows before. We've talked about, how it alters lives and careers, but we never really did a deep dive on it. I don't recall on the original Dads doing a deep dive on this. If we did, I apologize sincerely. But
even if we did, it was 10 years ago. So,
at least, right? So, yeah.
At least one of my matches has occurred since then.
Well, there you go. So
the other 9, not so much, but one match on my list has occurred since then.
Well, that should indicate how the show is going to go today, kids. If you're looking for a modern era Hell in a Cell listing, you can go look somewhere else. It's just I was
going to say, we actually might be able to get inside the confines of this cell, because it seems like everybody gets a shot these days. It's like they used to say about Stephanie, everybody gets a turn.
Whoa! We will not bring up a $1 billion princess like that. She comes up later, at least on my list anyway.
Hey, you know what? I watched the Dwayne DVD about a week ago, and just getting to relive that back and forth with him and Jericho going off on Stephanie, just great.
Man, that entire ring between Booker and Rhino and Stephanie and Shane, nobody was safe.
Oh no.
It was awful. And the fact that they actually had to hit the 7-second delay because of the WWF says everything. Because The Rock has a potty mouth. And he wants to be the president. Shame on you, Dwayne. Shame. Even if Shane McMahon is Silver's mother. Anyway, we'll just move right along there because we love Shane on this channel too. We love Shane on that. We love Shane. So.
But we're getting into the weeds and we haven't even started the lists yet.
Well, see, the thing is, we can't get into the weeds because we can't get outside this damn cell. So we're kind of stuck at having to grab at the weeds here. But that's okay. There we go. As it is the first Friday of the month, it is a wrestling show, which means I'm doing the long, almost 6-minute intro now. And my tag team partner here will be giving his list first. So we do our little technology magic and... Oh, there he goes. And with his version of the top 10 Hell in a Cell matches in the last 24 years, which is scary enough. JJ, take it away.
All right. Well, I know that my number 10 is probably going to be the one that's going to get the most resistance, the most hate mail sent your way as a result of it being on anybody's list. But I just have to preface it by saying this was the first Cell match that I saw live.
Oh, okay.
So it's got that sentimental value for me.
All right.
And it comes from 1999, WrestleMania 15, Undertaker and the Boss Man.
Okay, so the reason for listing is sentimentality, which I understand. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I know in hindsight and going back and having seen many, many, many other Cell matches, this was not the best match.
No.
However, like I said, it was the first one I ever saw as it happened, not on tape.
Right.
It was the Ministry Taker in his only Cell match.
Which is our favorite Taker.
And I will forever have the image of the Brood descending from the rafters at the end of the match to feed Taker the rope that then hung the Boss Man from the cell.
That was, it's definitely embedded on our brains forever.
Yeah. As far as theatrics go, this would probably be towards the top of the list as far as theatrical.
Oh, without question.
Just because of those moments right there.
Right.
Have no fear, though, ladies and gentlemen. My matches will get better as they go on. But like I said, it's a sentimentality thing.
It totally is.
And that's why it's my number 10.
Right.
It's not higher up on my list.
Yeah.
I figured starting it off with that for those reasons.
Right.
I figured our fans would be able to give me that because it's only going to get better from here.
And the thing is, let me just preface this by saying this. Honorable mentions on this show, the other 36 matches, they're all decent in their own way. Okay, let's just throw that out there right now because I don't have any honorables myself. I don't know if you do. I don't have any honorables myself. So
I do not. I have no official honorables. I'm sure you probably will throw some matches out that I don't have and be like, yeah, honorable mention. Right, and possibly the same on my end. But I have a feeling, with probably that one exception, the other 9 may end up on both lists. So.
Right. So the Boss Man Taker match, it's not a great match. It's not. But I honestly think it ages so badly for 2 reasons. One, the noose thing, not a good look in 2022 at all. Not even a good look, a month later. It's not. 2 months later.
Not a good look in 1999, but definitely not a good look in 2021, 2022, especially now that Boss Man is dead.
Yeah. And the other thing is that whole story with Undertaker terrorizing Vince and trying to take over the company, the way it resolved, and granted, the greater power reveal is one of the greatest things of all time. There's no, I will die on that hill. The reveal is one of the best things ever. The subsequent storyline, once they were all buddy, awful. Because Undertaker spent the better part of half a year targeting not only Austin, but the entire WWF by proxy of the McMahon family. And they're in cahoots to get Austin the whole time. What? So the entire angle died like a fart in church. So this match being the WrestleMania representation of that feud, not a good look, Granddad, at all.
All right, so from WrestleMania of 99, we then go to, I believe it was December of 2000, and we go to Armageddon.
Yeah, baby.
And we go to the 6-pack Hell in a Cell match.
Oh, yeah. Literally called the Armageddon Hell in a Cell for a reason.
Undertaker, The Rock, Austin, Angle, Hunter, and Rikishi.
Go ahead.
And, you know, I'm not going to take anything away from Rikishi, but he was there just to go flying off the cell into the back of the truck bed. If you can tell me any other legitimate purpose for him to be in that match, I am willing to listen.
Okay, so I get that, you know, he was involved in the feud with Austin, and he drove the car or whatever. But every time I see this image, I go, one of these things just doesn't belong here.
Right?
I love Keish. We love you. Sorry. Like, for real? No. It's just like, okay, you've got, granted, they're all Hall of Famers. Keish in the Hall of Fame too. But that year, not so much for Rikishi's career at all. Like, ugh. Oofa.
Aside from Rikishi going flying off the cell, the main reason I picked this one is because it is the only time the Rattlesnake and the Brahma Bull stepped foot inside the cell.
Yes. Yeah, it was the only time they were officially in a match in a every man for himself environment. There was that tag match on Raw that really didn't happen thing, but as far as every person in there is for their self, this is the only time both those guys were in that structure, which is crazy. When you think about how long they were around in their prime careers with the cell being in use, you figure The Rock was only around less than a year before it debuted. So his entire career, pretty much, except for the first year, the cell's been in play. Steve Austin came in a year and a half before. So, but he also bowed out though too. But you know, I mean, or 3 rather. But yeah, so the fact that neither one of these guys had a definitive Hell in a Cell match / moment is very interesting to think about.
Yeah. And then you also think of the fact that we're just about a year, maybe a little bit over a year and a month into Kurt's career in the WWE.
Yeah.
And he's defending the title in the match.
Successfully at that.
Yeah. Against all of that star power minus one.
Again.
4 of the greatest WWF champions in history.
Oh, yeah.
Arguably 4 in anybody's top 10.
Oh, yeah, easily. And the fact that there was so much, you know, side drama with Vince coming out there and trying to dismantle the cell, and that's why the truck happened to be there, and Foley, you know, that was really the main catalyst to the means to an end of the end of Foley's commissionership, if you recall, because Vince took him to task for creating this match in the first place and fired him on Christmas, that son of a bitch, McMahon. So, you know, but and Foley to this day in his book said, one thing I regret is not going back right away, like making sure I got that job back, because you remember he came back a year later during the whole Alliance thing, and you know the product was so sour anyway. He was like, okay, big mistake. So, but yeah, just this match is much more than the sum of its parts, without question. Yeah, you've got the 6 people you have and the side drama, but it really is a cool little story when you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we mentioned at the top of the show that if we have done a Hell in a Cell match in the past, it's still been at least 10 years.
Right.
And only one match since that time is on my list. Now, this isn't that match, but aside from that match, this is the most recent match that'll be on my list.
Okay.
And it features a superstar who will be taking a deep dive into towards the end of the month. From SummerSlam 2008,
Nice.
Taker and Edge.
There you go. I dig it.
You know, even though Edge had been champion, had his moments, I think this was one of his true tests.
Yes.
You know, he's beaten Cena, he's beaten Angle, he's beaten some of the greats, but to step inside the confines of that cell with the dead man, that was a big moment for him.
When you remember, Jay, that he spent over a year not losing to The Undertaker. You think about his entire career prior to WrestleMania that a certain professor went to with his dad. He hadn't lost to Taker, period. And only went back into this feud with him after abolishing him from the company at One Night Stand with that victory. And he had lost his damn mind so much that the La Familia, the Guerrero's general manager, forced him into the structure.
Yeah.
Which was, as far as personal drama, it ranks up there among the top for me. It is amazing. And the ending, again, we talk about theatrical with the Boss Man match. Good grief.
Yeah.
Theatrical ending for sure here.
And we go from one Undertaker match to another.
Okay. I think we're going to see him a lot today.
I think so. I think there's a couple of people we're going to see a lot today.
Yes. I mean, within this thing, you have to. So.
I mean, I'm going into my fourth match, right, and it's the fourth time Undertaker has appeared.
There you go.
And ironically, his opponent in this match is the other half of a tandem with Edge. Rated RKO and Armageddon 05 against Randy Orton.
Okay, I'll mention for me that I completely forgot about this. Isn't it awful?
The match that is probably best known for Cowboy Bob bleeding like a stuck pig.
Yeah.
Despite being positive for hepatitis C.
Yeah. Talk about aging well.
But despite that, Undertaker and Orton inside of the cell. I mean,
was there any more personal feud in 2005? I mean, really?
I don't know. Like, I'd be hard pressed to try to think of one.
I mean, like Bradshaw and Cena was hell on earth, but it was only the first half of the year. You know,
and then you've got Hunter and Batista, but I wouldn't say that was personal.
And
that was business.
Well, it became personal, which is why I ended up in the cell in June. Another mention. I know I don't have my list, but I definitely want to throw it out there. But this one went basically from the Royal Rumble when Randy lost his bid to become champion again and started thinking of what can I do at Mania, and got the bug up his ass to go after the dead man in the streak, and it went all the way to here. Yeah. The entire year.
And I still say Randy should have been the one to end the streak at Mania. Like, I know he was not the best version of Randy Orton backstage at the time, which is part of why they probably didn't pull that trigger.
Right.
But you're talking about the legend killer could have killed the streak. Like, you can't get much better marketing than that.
No. I think of anybody following his return to the dark side. Randy, Batista, and Edge, I think, are the three that jump into my mind of they should have been. And for the record, I don't think it should end at all.
Right.
If we're going to throw that, throw it out there. I think 20-0 should have been done. 20-0, that's it. But, I'm sure, I have a feeling we're going to get to that later. So, anyway, carry on, sir.
Number 6 on my list is the first match to not feature The Undertaker.
Okay.
However, it features a pioneer of the cell and the man who has been in the cell second only to Taker as far as number of appearances.
I know what you're gonna say.
From 2004, Bad Blood, HBK Shawn Michaels versus Triple H.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can never go wrong with these two inside of any match.
Right.
But then you put them inside the cell with everything that they had built up on since 2002.
Yep.
Going into that unsanctioned street fight at SummerSlam with HBK being put through the window of the car and everything, and just the elevation of the feud from that moment till you get to the cell.
It's exactly what Hell in a Cell is supposed to be.
This match was 2 years of build to get there.
Yeah. And the best part is, throw the graphic up there for me, if you can. The best part is, when you're all done with the match, Subway sponsoring sub sandwiches for everybody. Anyway,
the best part of this match is that Hunter wasn't the champion.
Right? And it was still the main
because it was during that time where, you know, he just left it in the ring at WrestleMania 20 before Randy Orton came out at SummerSlam and found it in the ring and started posing on the turnbuckle.
Are we ever? I mean, okay, we're 14 years in. Can we not? Really?
You know me. I am a fan of the wrestling career of that man more than anybody.
I was gonna say,
but I know that there's people out there that would crap on us for talking about him in such a high esteem. But yes, it was during the Benoit run, which he had deserved for many years prior to this. If we're gonna go there, goddammit, I'm gonna go all in.
Right? Yeah. And the thing is, you know, he's on this card defending against Kane, which wasn't a bad match either. It's not this topic. So, but yeah, it's again, you know, yes, the best part about it is Triple H is main eventing the pay-per-view, which happens anyway, but he's not the champion, which is awesome. And these two are inside this hellacious confines, and they went 45 minutes. And pretty much wrestled a technical masterpiece. It just happened to be a bloodfest too.
Yeah,
it was it for me. If we're gonna have a Meltzer version of Hell in a Cell, this is it. This is the standard bearer right here.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I know. I gave Dave credit. Don't everybody have a friggin' heart attack or whatever, but you know, just saying.
My number 5 also features Triple H. And ironically, you just touched on this match briefly when we discussed the Taker-Orton match.
Oh, okay.
From Vengeance of 05.
Yes.
Batista versus Triple H.
Now, I didn't put it on my list. I couldn't find this damn graphic, but since you found it, honorable mention. Where the hell did you find this? It pisses me off.
I have my ways.
Damn it. Anyway, carry on. Yes.
But I mean, you know, this was the culmination of their feud.
Oh, yeah.
That had begun with Batista winning the Rumble.
Yep.
And teasing that he was going to face Hunter at Mania. And then the subsequent rematches after he dethroned the great and powerful cerebral assassin, the King of Kings, the Game himself. You know, I feel like this match was kind of hot-shotted in a way, because while it may have been the culmination of the feud, it came 3 months later. Whereas you take a look at the Taker-Orton, which built over a year. You take a look at the Hunter-Michaels, which built over 2 years. And here we're getting this one in 3 months.
Well,
5 if you count the build from the Rumble.
I was going to say, you have to keep something in mind. You were at WrestleMania 21, yes? You were actually inside.
Yeah, I was in the building.
Okay, so that main event was okay. Okay.
Yes.
The subsequent Backlash match was okay. They had to do something to get Batista, put him in the cage with Hunter. And it worked. This was the best match of that 3-match series. No question about it. The build from Rumble to Mania deserved this quality of match. And y'all didn't get it at Stables. And I that's one of the few reasons I don't regret not going live. Because everything after the Angle match is kind of like, oh, this is WrestleMania? Okay, sure.
Well, I mean, how do you top
right
Angle Michaels?
Right. And the thing, if you think about it, both main events got bloody stipulation matches as the brush off. I Quit with Cena and Bradshaw, which was one of John's best things ever up to that point. And this match, Hell in a Cell with Taker, with Taker, Hell in a Cell, same thing. Triple H and Batista. Again, both. It's almost like, yes, both those matches were great and they came off wonderfully. But it's sad to say that they needed those matches in those feuds because, like I said earlier, fart in church for the big grandiose WrestleMania match. So, but again, you can't go wrong with a Hell in a Cell main event with Triple H as a participant in Las Vegas, baby. It's good stuff.
Definitely. Before we came on the air, I mentioned to you that I had talked about this topic to my coworker.
Yes, sir.
And asked him what he felt the greatest Hell in a Cell match was.
Yes.
And I told you that his answer was my number 4.
Right.
Well, here we are. We are at our number 4.
Okay.
And dare I say that when people hear Hell in a Cell, this is probably the first match everybody thinks about.
Oh, yeah.
King of the Ring 98,
yep.
Taker Mankind. Forgive the quality of graphic. As old as the match is, that's the best I could find.
Yeah, I'm going to run that later.
But, I mean... And I'm just going to go ahead and go straight into my number 3 because I feel the two piggyback off each other. My number 3 from 97.
Oh, there you go.
Taker Michaels.
Very nice.
Bad Blood.
Okay.
For everything that these guys did to establish the bar of the cell.
Yeah.
Taker Mankind said, hold my beer.
Yeah, a little bit.
For better and for worse, because for a while, it seemed like there had to be that holy shit, crazy spot moment to rival Mick falling off the cell through the announce table, Mick crashing through the cell into the ring.
Yep.
Like, that's the only reason the Rikishi spot exists.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is because they had to try to one-up that. And I'm sorry, but the fact that there was a pickup truck filled with hay, you kind of knew what was coming. Yeah. It didn't have the same, oh my God, he's dead, impact that Foley flying through the announce table did.
Well, yes, and I will piggyback on that comment by saying I wasn't convinced he was dead when we went through the announce table because he was moving. When Lawler said that's it, he's dead, and he hit the ring mat and he wasn't moving because he was legitimately unconscious, my freaking 15-year-old self's going, am I allowed to watch this for real? Like, is this like somebody just died? Can I still watch this? Is it okay if I still have the TV on? Like, murder! To this day, I can't watch him and The Rock from Rumble. I can't watch it. It's too much. This one I can watch, but it's tough. Especially the two falls. Those are just bad.
And then eerie irony about, oh my God, he's dead. Less than a year later, 11 months later, someone's going to crash to the ring mat and actually die.
Yeah, and it's just so it's one of those, I mean, you've read it in mixed books. If you haven't read mixed books, I recommend you go buy them. They're probably $1 on Amazon now because you cheap bastards let it get that far.
If you have not read mixed books and you call yourself a wrestling fan, you need to hand in your membership card. That's because right. You are not a wrestling fan if you have not read Mick or Jericho's books.
Yeah, please don't unsub from this channel, though. Go ahead and read the books before you do that.
I didn't say unsub. I just said hand in your membership card.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you read those books and you're not convinced that it's the greatest thing of all time, then you can go and unsub. I don't need your ass here. But yeah, if you haven't read Mick's books, basically, he talks about both matches. This one and the match with The Rock, saying you'll never see something like that again because there was no governor on him at the time. So he went all in, when we talked about earlier. This match and those chair shots, a few months later just hastened his retirement and luckily hastened better monitoring within the company itself, which was nice. It amplified exponentially after 2007. Let's not kid ourselves, but I like to think that this match and the subsequent I Quit match with The Rock really made people go, okay, we need to start bringing people in a little bit. This is bad. And unfortunately for Mick, he had two things going against him when he went into Pittsburgh. Number one, he had to follow Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Never a good thing. Number two, he asked the Bastion Saint of good sense, Terry Funk, for advice.
Yeah.
Terry Funk's middle-aged and crazy in 1965. All right. Like he's nuts. So, yeah, bad call, Mick.
Yeah. The other thing that I want to point out regarding this one.
Yes, sir.
The 20th birthday of our resident stat boy.
Yes, and the anniversary of 24 years is coming up next week on Tuesday, which is when we air Stat Boy Sports Bar. Not that I
Number two.
Whatsoever,
Number two.
Number two
features, dare I say, prior to my number one coming into existence, I feel like it was the best Hell in a Cell match of all time.
Okay. Ah, yes.
Cactus and Hunter inside the cell.
Very nice. There you go.
I mean, No Way Out 2000. This was a hell of a rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that we got not Mankind, but Cactus into the cell. Just sheer brilliance. And we've talked about it ad nauseum, had Hunter downplayed the reveal,
transformation, yep,
it would have been dead on arrival.
Yep.
But the fact that Hunter remembered Cactus from 97, pile driving him through the table on the entry ramp
in the garden. Oh, yeah.
He knew that Cactus was not one to be fucked with. There's our one. We haven't said it yet. But you don't want to piss off Cactus Jack. And he had done pissed off Cactus Jack. Everybody that I know expected Cactus to walk out with the belt. And he didn't.
In either match. Yeah.
And he didn't.
No. I was convinced when I bought my WrestleMania ticket that I was not going to see Mick Foley. And by the grace of God, I was wrong, because it was awesome to see his first send-off.
By the grace of God and Linda McMahon.
Well, God is Vince, so, proxy to Vince, I guess. Anyway, yeah, McMahonism, it was a thing. 2006, get over your damn self. Leave me alone.
Hey, Shawn Michaels teamed with God. I'm just saying.
And God bailed on it, which is even worse. Where are you going, God? Just the commentary on that match alone is just the best thing. It's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit squad.
Topic for another day: the top 10 worst gimmicks.
Yeah, that's like 1 through 9, I think. And by the way, the fact we're talking about God inside Hell in a Cell is just ironic as hell. Anyway, carry on.
But I mean, the brutality of that match, and then just getting to see the image of Stephanie there next to Hunter.
Right?
Back when we loved Stephanie, we still do. Let's not get it
We
twisted.
do, yes.
But that was our Stephanie.
Yes. And just seeing her out there, because she was sent to the back in the garden for the street fight. Hunter didn't want her out there. Hunter knew, even inside that cell, even with the McMahon-Helmsley era regime, whatever you want to call it, padlocking every way out of it, he knew he needed backup out there. And he knew after the fact that Billy was down for the count. He had been injured in the match with the Dudleys, so he wasn't going to be out there, which means Road Dogg wasn't going to be out there. And X-Pac was running for his life from Kane. He had no backup. He needed Stephanie out there, and she stood with Hunter every step of that way, helped out, and then again, read Nick's book, she was at the back taking the hug from Hunter and Cactus, knowing that the blood would ruin that pretty awesome ensemble she had on that night. So she has been a trooper from Jump Street. Anybody that shits on her just irritates me. And I know that, she ran the company. You know what? Nothing gets done at the end of the day without the McMahon final approval on the Vince front. Anything she said, good or bad, had to go through the McMahon filter, the Vince filter. So shut up. She's awesome. We love her.
There we go.
Which
brings us to the number 1.
Yeah, well, I'm curious what passed this for you, because I know you love that feud and that match. So
I do, but I also have yet to reveal the one match on my list to come since the last 10 years.
Yes, this is true. You haven't.
Without any further ado.
Yes. Very good. I'm not entirely surprised.
I don't even have the words. Like a picture says 1,000 words. I mean, you've got the end of an era. And by all rights, that should have been the end.
Yes, I agree.
Taker, Hunter, Michaels as the referee, inside the cell. On the same night where The Miz beats John Cena cleanly in the middle of the ring with no shenanigans whatsoever. But I digress.
Do you value your job on this channel? Do you value your presence on
Considering I don't get paid?
Oh, wow! Oh, okay! Wow! Ooh,
I'm just saying, But I digress, I still feel that should have been the main event.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I understand why.
Okay, here, I got you, smartass. That wasn't even the same year, so because Miz and Cena was 2011, motherfucker. There's my 1F. This is 2012. The main event this year was Rock and Cena, which
fair enough
should have been the main event. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. But this should have been actually where they put this match on that card is actually. I mean, if you ask Greg and Jen Cherry, who were both there for that show, it actually was pretty good placement because this match was so personal and so involved and so intense. They had to have the entire second half to cool down before they got to Dwayne and John, because that match was intense and personal and involved. So to have the Hell in the Cell be in the middle of the card, yeah, I kind of agree with the match placement. However, the year before, I only say that it shouldn't have been the main event because of Taker getting carted out. If Taker wins that match, retains the streak, and walks out with his head up, main event that stuff. And don't have Rock be involved in the damn title match. But, with Rock in the title match as the host, you gotta put Dewey at the end of the night. It is what it is.
But there we go. There are my top 10 Hell in a Cell matches.
I'll tell you what, before we go over to my list, I will say this. Only 3 of my matches take place after the 10-year marker you named. Of those 3, only 2 of them are not on your list. And my number 1 did not appear on your list either.
Okay.
So take that for what it's worth. So
Okay.
we will take a brief ad break here on the Different Network as we show you exactly, if you didn't watch today's show, Renegades, shame on you. Here's what's going on in October.
So there we go. That was my top 10 cell matches. You know, I'm sure I'm going to get upstaged here by the professor, but you know, we'll see. You know, I mean, there may be close to 50 of these matches in existence, which in of itself seems ridiculous.
49, dude.
Like I said, close to 50.
Yeah, and what's crazy is, you know, we come off a great trailer with some of the best early scary movies, some of the greatest classic horror films of all time. Some of these matches, you know, didn't get as horrific as we thought they would be. They actually turned out pretty damn good. I was going to say, with the exception of the Boss Man fiasco at the start of your list, Hell in a Cell, as far as art, there's a reason these are the top 10 for us, because they delivered. And like I said before the break, you only had 3 matches that I don't. And only 2 of those 3 have taken place in the last 10 years.
So there we go.
So
I had a feeling there was going to be quite a few similarities.
Very much so.
What blows my mind, though, and I know we're in an era now where there is a cell pay-per-view, so there are multiple cell matches on the pay-per-view.
Right.
But if you do the math, 49 matches, we'll call it 50, in almost 25 years is an average of 2 matches a year. I don't feel like that is good. Like, that's how you get a match watered down.
Yeah. Hell in a Cell should not be an expectation. It should be the end, not the means to.
Yeah.
And you guys said that for years.
Yeah.
You know, Michaels and Taker, and like I said, we're going to get into all these in here, but the Taker-Michaels match, the Foley match, to even discredit that for a minute, if I may, the Foley the Mankind Taker match was not really a feud ender necessarily. It was, okay, Mick's still hot. He's got that main event rub on him. Taker's not getting a title shot yet. Throw them in the cell. Which is why Mick felt so obligated to do something special that night. And he sure as shit delivered. But a good chunk of these we've talked about are the end. the end of a storyline, the end of a feud, the end of something, and it's been refreshing to have these matches showcased. Now, I will tell you right now, like I said, I don't have anything except 2 matches that you didn't, and 3 of those matches, again, on my list were in the last 10 years, so, or after 10 years, after the 10-year mark. And the first 2, actually, are both in that category. Number 10 was, to my knowledge, it was a feud ender because they haven't had a really marquee match since. It's one of only 4 tag team Hell in a Cell matches, and the fact it's only number 10 and it's the only tag team match on the list tells you how awesome these matches are and how awesome these 5 people are. Usos and the New Day. These guys waged war for almost that entire calendar year they went up here in Hell in a Cell, and at a time where the New Day were a bunch of goofs, and
I was going to say, like, Kofi looks high in that image.
Probably. Anyway. And at a time where the Usos were really starting to get their mojo working as the badass Usos that we've seen evolve now. And by the way, I haven't said this near enough on the show with you here next to me. Damn it, the Usos just kick everybody's ass. I love them now. I'm so glad they're in that spot with Roman. The bloodline is strong. Again, we're taping this for Extreme Rules, and I doubt the freaking Demon's going to beat Roman. If he does, I'll edit it later, whatever. But, these 3 guys are just so amazing, and I'm so glad that all 3 of them, not just Roman, are getting this shot. Because, damn it, Jimmy and Jay, yeah, the DUIs are there. Yeah, the shenanigans are there. But these 2 guys can fucking go. Excuse me for the 3rd F-bomb, but I really don't give a shit. These kids are everything that I wish Rikishi and Sam could have been 25 years ago. I mean, really. God darn it. Anyway, so Usos and New Day. These guys, these 2 teams went into a cell and waged war. I'll never forget the spot where they trapped, I think it was Xavier, with a kendo stick against the corner and just waylaid him mercilessly. It was a sight. The match was a spectacle. It was everything Hell in a Cell should be. Personal, deep-rooted, intense. Much like number 9. Now, all right, everybody get comfy. Here we go. This is the only women's Hell in a Cell match on my list. And it's not the one with Charlotte. These 2 ladies, and on this side, I use the word ladies loosely because they weren't very ladylike with each other inside the structure, man. This was, and again, Jay, you haven't been a modern viewer as much as we would like you to be, and again, we respect that decision around here, but this was something that had been building from the minute the team formed however many years before on the main roster. After feuding in NXT for as long as they did, we were waiting for the turn, and it was Bayley that did it. And these 2 ladies went into this Hell in a Cell after a complete breakdown of the team. The rivalry kicked into white hot high gear, and man, they delivered. I dare say better than Sasha and Charlotte. And I dare say better than, I believe it was Becky and Sasha the previous year. These 2 ladies gave us of their souls, as JR would say. It was an incredible match, and I loved it. Now, everything between now and number 1 has already been discussed. Okay. Right now. So, and since I was encouraged to do some of the conversating because of the combined memories of you and I being, so forgive us if we're brief in these next 7 entries, but here we go. 2008, Undertaker and Edge. I said it when Jay brought it up. This was for me one of the most personal and fiery, literally, Hell in a Cell matches in history. This match, I felt like it could have been very easily been Adam Copeland and Mark Calloway in this match, because it had become such an intense personal rivalry, with Undertaker taking the title from Edge and Edge stealing it from him the year before with the Money in the Bank cash-in that wasn't even his to begin with, and Edge's wife forcing him into the cell and bringing Undertaker back after joining with Edge to get rid of him. It was just so personal. It really enabled me, at least as an audience member, to take myself out of the moment of, it's just in the WWE storyline. This felt like, holy shit, Adam's family's involved in this, and they're screwing him royally here. Because if you watch that match, they're in the back just going, sucks to be you, dude. It was brutal.
Yeah.
And it was, for all intents and purposes, a feud ender, because Edge went away, grew that Mountain Man beard, and came back and went after Triple H to the WWE Championship again. So, feud ender, inside the cell, at a big four. What more can you ask for? I mean, really. This one, I hesitated. I really did, because I'm not a huge mark for this one, like I am the other ones on my list. And that's why I was trying to find Batista and Triple H, and why I forgot about Undertaker and Orton in the process of finding this match. But you know what? It's just such a crazy batshit match. I could not include it. I mean, it's bonkers. The whole thing is nuts. You've got Rock and Austin's only foray into the cell officially. You've got Kurt Angle successfully defending the championship with that babyface smile of his. Like, Kurt, knock it off. You lying sack of shit.
I didn't even think about this when we talked about it on my list, but wasn't it the only time the badass Taker got in there?
Nope.
No? Okay.
I shall return there momentarily.
Fair enough.
But yeah, this, I mean, they call it Armageddon, pay-per-view, and it was, when you go into the video games, it's the Armageddon cell, because it's, 6 people in there. I thought that was a great touch by the video game developers, by the way. But it really is. When you've got 6 of the big main eventers, yes, Rikishi was a main eventer, get over it. It's not I didn't make the booking, damn it. Love you, Kish. When you have 6 main event level superstars inside that structure at the same time, and it's not a tag team format or a 6-man format, it's crazy. And to their credit, all 6 of them did the Brian Cage thing, got their shit in, and still came out looking like gangbusters at the end. Even Rikishi, because he took that big spot, and when he came back, they tried, man. They really did. They put him with Haku for a bit, and they tried everything they could with him. It's just, like we said, one of these things just doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
For all they tried to put Rikishi in that spot, and again, I'm trying real hard not to do this in my post no DQ life. Hunter being revealed as a mastermind took every bit of wind out of that sail of Rikishi. Every damn bit of it.
Yeah.
If
Rikishi's really did.
If Rikishi's the guy, then he's the guy. And he did it because he wanted to. But he wasn't. He was a paid assassin. And it was like, oh, it totally deflated everything. To the point where by the post Survivor Series 2001 angle with McMahon and Flair, Rikishi was a stink face for Vince. Like, dude, okay, he's a babyface again? He ran over Steve Austin. Can we talk about that for a second? He ran over our guy. Can we not go away from that, please? No, we have to forget. And the fact is, who shoved him in Rikishi's ass? The Rock, the guy that he claimed he was doing the hit and run for. Like, Vince, I know we're supposed to play stupid with your storylines, and the fact the invasion sapped all our energy the entire year, I get it. Come on, man. But his involvement here shows that for a time, the WWF believed Rikishi belonged in that main event. You figure he had a main event match at No Mercy, pretty much. He was, not top of the card, but damn near. He was involved in the main event as well, that show. And he and The Rock had a marquee match in Survivor Series. So, for 3 months, Rikishi was touching forbidden waters, man. And good on him for taking advantage of it when he could.
Yeah.
And this match, unfortunately, was the end of it, because when you fall into a bale of hay pushed by the Biker Undertaker, you're going to be carted off for real. Anyway, again, I mentioned off air, but God, this match and the rivalry, we talk about it all the time on this channel, on this show. Every time we get together to talk wrestling, we pretty much talk about this match and this feud, because we love these two so much. And these three. Let's not discount Stephanie's involvement here at all. But man, you said it. It's, this, when you think about the entire feud between Cactus and Triple H, was pretty much piecemeal together because Steve Austin was hurt. And Hunter needed something to keep him busy until what should have been a one-on-one WrestleMania match with The Rock. When you think about that, they literally, can you do this, Mick? And Mick, was he in the best shape of his life at that point when he went to the Garden and Hartford? No, he wasn't. But he got into as great a shape as he could in the short amount of time he had to do. You got to figure, he and Al Snow had a abortion of a match in Armageddon on the 12th. By the end of the year, he's in the main event with Hunter. So that's not a whole lot of time to get your shit together.
No.
And Nick did it. And like you said, Hunter could have sold that tearing the chest open, throwing the mask off thing as just like, oh, it's a character. The look on Triple H's face when that happened, he looked like he'd seen a ghost. And for his point of view, he saw the ghost of his past. He saw the ghost of 3 years before going into the same building and going, oh God, I'm going to die again. And part of his leg did in the Garden, for sure. That puncture wound. I still about that one. That's ugh. And then this match, yes, they rigged the cell so it would collapse. Okay, wham, purist, you love your damn self. It's fun. You said for the longest time that was your favorite Hell in a Cell match. It's still on my list here, obviously, but as far as overall favorite, it's at least top 3 for me. I love the intensity. I love the story of the match itself. It's great. Okay. Again, I gushed over this one ad nauseum, so let me just go ahead and throw it out there really quick. The best technical Hell in a Cell match in the history of the Hell in a Cell. The 2 best wrestlers in the company, not named Chris Benoit at this point. And again, sorry I said the B word, whatever. But these two, the fact that this feud surpassed the World Championship as the main event, and again, that's not a shit on Benoit or Kane. That's how invested the audience was in the collapse and ultimate destruction of DX. And the fact that we got them back 2 years later was just so awesome. Was it watered down a little bit? Of course. It's post,
a little bit.
It's post Salvation Shawn Michaels. What do you want? Triple H had to carry that burden of the naughty quite a bit. Okay, he had to pretty much rag on his own wife's pregnancy to get that shit across. I'm just saying. You got what you got to do, brother.
Watered down a little bit.
Yeah, right.
It was a Jack and Coke with this much Coke and this much Jack.
It was the anti-Lemmy. Yes. It was a lemon more than Lemmy. Anyway, sorry about that, Lem. Anyway, but this match, again, we talked about it. This is what Hell in a Cell should be. It built for 2 years. It really, if you really think about it, it built for damn near 10. Hunter came into the company in 95 when Shawn was still the asshole, but he was, a champion every year of the season pretty much. So, yeah, this entire feud, the way it went down, the way it ended, and the fact that other than Taboo Tuesday, they didn't really touch again. So, pretty cool thing. Although they had a triple threat match as part of DX with John Cena, which we're going to get to on Rewind later in the year, which is actually pretty good. So. All right. Again, you had them as I think 4-3 also. So I'll go ahead and just go boop boop. There you go. 4-3 again. The standard bearer, the escalator, and man, sponsors really got their freaking shit across in this here, didn't they, man? Look, PlayStation presents Bad Blood. Super Soaker presents WWF. Jeez. Pay the bills, damn it.
Gotta draw money. Gotta draw money.
Come back tomorrow night. That's right. Gotta get money for Raw. It's a 2-hour show. We gotta make money somehow. Oh wait, make it 3 hours. No. Again, these two matches, and when you really think about the fact that Undertaker is involved in those two and the one you mentioned as your number one, again, these 3 Hell in a Cell matches involving these, 4 people are just everything that any Hell in a Cell participant should aspire to.
Yeah.
I
feel like that quartet really understood what the cell was supposed to be.
Yep.
Before it became a marketing tool.
You figure Foley was in the escalator, like I said, the one that escalated everything. He was in a feud ender with Triple H. He storyline orchestrated the Armageddon Hell in a Cell. He refereed a match that didn't make either of our lists, and I was surprised it didn't make yours. I almost put it on mine between Hunter and Nash when he refereed at Bad Blood 03. Again, that wasn't the greatest cell match of all time, but it was intense and it was bloody, including Mick himself. Mick, again, I gush over Mick Foley all the time, but it's true. Mick Foley understands this business so much, even in 2021, which is why his video went viral last month about, the critique of WWE and the overly praising of AEW. But you know what? He's 100% friggin' right now.
Yep.
I'm going to leave that there.
That's another show, another topic.
Yeah, for sure. He gets it. He always did. Shawn always got it. Even when Shawn was in his blue state, when he went in the ropes, he got it. Hunter has always got it. Undertaker has always got it. Like you said, those 4 guys really understood and understand now what the cell was supposed to be. And my number one, and I can't believe we're going to be done so quickly with this show, but I figured we'd go way longer. But I also figured the repeats would be a thing, so I'm not really surprised. Number one is one that I don't know why it affects me so to this day, but the imagery of this match, both participants and the champion's manager, spokesperson, advocate, whatever you want to call this person, at ringside outside the cage, got the color. And it was just barbaric. Brock Lesnar, the WWE Championship against The Undertaker at No Mercy. That's where the Biker Taker comes into my story. There you go.
I'm surprised you put over a Brock Lesnar match, knowing how you feel about him.
I thought the same thing, but you know what? That's how great this match is for me. Undertaker goes in with that busted up arm in a cast. Goes in with this ridiculous affair storyline they put Tracy Dowling in. And if you didn't know who she was when you saw 2002, I don't blame you. I love Tracy, I do. But if anything outside of Back to the Future in the hot tub with Biff for me, I don't even know who the hell she was. Like, seriously. So it was just a very weird side story to this whole thing. But again, you get in the ring, pulls the cage, shit was on. Brock immediately targets the arm, rips the cast off. So Undertaker's got basically one good wing the entire fight. And I say fight. You had the guy who would become one of the greatest cage fighters of all time against a guy who made Hell in a Cell his little playground. So, yeah, it was a fight. And the imagery of Paul Heyman's bald head and bloody face against that cage by his tie repeatedly from The Undertaker is so crazy for me. Paul very rarely gushed. He did that night, I'll tell you what. The imagery of the two of them just, they can't even air this on the network within the first 30 seconds without having to make it black and white so it's appropriate for the blood. It's bad in a hurry.
Damn.
And then the imagery of Lesnar on top of that thing with the belt over his head, just, like, this whole match is imagery for me. It's intense. You know, the word barbaric came out of JR's mouth more than once in this. Actually, it was Michael Cole, excuse me. I got to Cole's credit. He called the hell of a match. He and Taz both did. Just so intense and visceral. And when you think about it, they had another Hell in a Cell match 13 years later. That was the definitive end of that feud. After he'd broken the streak, after the SummerSlam fiasco, after everything that went down, this is where it really picked up. And it only stopped because the Big Show threw The Undertaker off of the stage the next week on SmackDown. And by the time The Undertaker came back, Lesnar was a babyface. Big Show was whatever the hell he was with Paul Heyman. It was SmackDown in 03. It was a train wreck. I mean, great in-ring stuff, but the storylines were the best. So there it is.
Okay.
Like I said, not surprised we had a lot of similarities. Or
No.
same matches. But I was surprised you didn't mention Taker Brock because that was awesome. So
honestly, I pretty much had forgotten about Taker Brock.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, until you started describing the match and the pulling Heyman multiple times and him gushing. And it's like, okay, I'm remembering this match now.
Yeah.
Definitely would be an honorable mention from me.
There you go.
I'm going to put you on the spot, sir.
Okay.
I know fantasy booking isn't your cup of tea, but if you could pick two superstars in the company right now that you would like to see inside the confines of the cell, who would you pick? And I will tell you mine once you're done.
Well, it's funny. We actually just had Hell in a Cell already this year, which I think is stupid. But, that's a whole other thing. So I would honestly see, we've talked for an hour or so about this should be a feud ender, right? It's definitely on the spot. I would say if they hadn't already had their respective Hell in a Cell matches during their reign, I would say put Roman and Bobby in there. Bobby Lashley. Only because you've got the two most intense superstars on the roster right now. They're both at their peak. They're both the world champion. Turn them loose inside the cage.
Okay. For me, it would definitely be a feud ender, but a good chunk of their feud took place in another company. I would like to see AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, that's good.
And especially with the rumor that AJ is going to retire once his contract is over.
Right.
Let that not just be the feud ender. Let that be his final match.
See, if Joe comes back from this injury 100%, I agree with it. It's just a matter of, how they use Joe. I mean, he relinquished the NXT Championship last month, just a couple weeks ago. So I don't know where they're going to stand with him long term. I mean, they give him the chance. And I still say that was BS, the way they had him relinquish it, but, whatever. That's actually really good. I like that. That's because, we also just last month passed the anniversary of them and Daniels in that triple threat feud, which I threw out at everybody. Remember that, guys? Remember all three of those guys were good and TNA was good?
Those three have always been good. Remember when
Yes.
TNA was good? Okay, I'll give you that little snide comment. But remember when they were good? They're still good.
We talked
AJ
about this.
is still phenomenal.
He is. And he and again, we're going off in a completely different topic outside of Hell in a Cell. But he is one of the few people that crossed that line that maintained the level that he stayed at in TNA for that entire however many years he was there, 10, 11 years. He's been one of the best wrestlers on the planet the last 5 years. Almost 6 now, which is crazy.
It is.
It is.
So there you go. What do you guys think of our lists? Did we forget anything?
Probably.
As we always say on our show, our opinions are subjective. What Hell in a Cell matches do you feel belong on a top 10 list? Let us know. If you're watching the premiere, you've got all that space right there. If you're watching on demand, you've got the entire comment box down there.
Wide open, kids. And I will say this. I know that we tend to, at least my channel nowadays, tends to skew toward the audience that was not around during the Attitude Era. So please, what bottom matches do you think we left off? Because I am really able to have a discussion about it as to why some of the matches post 2012 belong here. Because they're few and far between for me, other than the two I mentioned. So, again, Charlotte Sasha was awesome. The women have done really well in Hell in a Cell. I will say that. They've done very, very well in their forays into the structure. So, I will give all 4 of those matches, or how many it is now, credit. No question about it. But
do you think they missed the boat, considering they weren't doing women's cell matches until the Cell pay-per-view? Do you think they missed the boat with a Lita versus Trish cell match?
100%. Absolutely. That's the one. Well, there's 2. Trish Stratus's status as champion definitely lent itself to a Cell blow off with Lita and with Mickey. But again, how do you top what they did? The Lita and Trish had an unbelievable series of matches. The one on Raw, the one Unforgiven, the various ones they had throughout the years. And God, Mickey and Trish just lit the world on fire in 2006 at WrestleMania. It took 8 years for me to even look at another match, women's match, as better than or equal to that. So, yeah, they may have missed the boat, but again, we're looking with the view of hindsight. Here we are.
I know.
Trish has been retired officially for 15 years, as has Lita, which, as my spine curves and my hair grays again. Mickey was retired off and on. She's just now getting back in the NWA thing, and good for her. I don't know if they missed the boat. It's just a matter of, man, it wouldn't have been cool.
I'm going to make you feel even older as your hair grays and your spine curves, because one of the girls I work with is 16. So they have been retired just about as long as she's been alive.
Coming up next week right here in this time slot there, whippersnappers, we've got an amazing movie review from Grandpa Jay over here, pushed Uncle Jay. No, all right, so, Jesus. Babies. Anyway, we work with children, Jay. Anyway, so next week is something that I think I still have it over here. Do I have it? Oh, I do. Look at that. It's right here. It was like it was meant to be. One of the movies that Mr. Williams here included in my starter kit, if you will, for Universal Monsters.
That's right.
The original, the OG, the Fraser-less Mummy. There it is, baby. Now,
that's right.
Now, I'm not going to shit on Brendan Fraser. I'm not.
Oh, no, I love me some Brendan Fraser.
The Mummy is good, and The Mummy Returns, one of them returns to being, Dwayne Johnson being the biggest star in the world right now, so let's just throw that out there.
The Mummy Returns is the best movie with returns in the title that is not Batman Returns.
Cosign. The Mummy is next week in this time slot on my channel here on the W2 Network, but an hour before, watch the original, because Uncle Jay needs money.
Seriously, I've cracked over 700 view hours, but I need to get to 4,000.
Right? Exactly.
So, if y'all could go back into the archives and watch some of the old episodes of Dads on Wrestling and the Renegade of Wrestling something, try to help boost up my view hours.
Yes,
If you're not interested in watching my movie reviews, help a brother out at least. Jeez.
That's it. And in, 3 weeks, also in this time slot, but an hour earlier on the Casino Studios channel, I'm not part of this one. I got to take that back. We will have Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, which is the first of the Abbott and Costello meets the monsters. Correct, sir?
Correct.
There you go. So, yes, JJ is getting into Universal Monster stuff. If you are not a fan of the Universal Monsters, I highly recommend you change that philosophy right now, because I will say this. I was hesitant as a father. This man showed my son the classic, the original Frankenstein. He was 3, and he wasn't scared, and he liked it, and he liked the other ones as we went along. So if you have a situation where you don't necessarily like the big scare, the Freddy, Jason, Michael, Chucky stuff, and you don't get into the weird, mind stuff, like they did later, or the really gory stuff, or however you want to classify it, these are the way to go, as is his entire month, pretty much. So, in the meantime, in this time slot, in 2 weeks, we are back with the Dads episode, and this time it's our top 10 songs to play at a Halloween party. To date, this is one of the few topics that he's introduced. I've been like, all right, I can get behind this shit. I know what I'm doing here. And what's really cool is, if you're a fan of the macabre TV shows that were on in the 60s, there were only 2, you know what they are. Both songs are there.
That's right.
Both songs, and as they should be, damn it.
You will get 20 different songs, because
Yes.
I made sure that Jeff
Yes.
provided his list to me ahead of time,
Right.
because we wanted to give you a good jump off point for a Halloween party, a monster bash, if you will.
Yes.
And fair warning, not only are there songs that are, we won't say adult themed, but more geared towards a grown-up audience.
Right.
But there's also songs that are geared towards your kids, because you figure any good Halloween party, you're going to have kiddies around for at least an hour or 2 before they pass out from their sugar high. So there's going to be some songs there that, maybe the grown-ups that watch our show are going to be like, really? This is your song for a Halloween party? But you got to look at the big picture. You got to have stuff that the kiddies can relate to too.
There you go. And when you talk about adult themes, adult situations, if you will, most of those classify under the line of rated R.
Yes.
Correct? So, we're going to finish strong in the month here on Dads, and always in wrestling, with a wrestling show. The greatest matches in the history of the rated R Superstar Edge. I'm looking
The day
forward to
before
that.
his birthday, correct?
I believe that is his actual birthday, yes, which is why we mentioned this earlier in the year, that we have Edge now and Undertaker on Black Friday as opposed to Undertaker for Halloween. Number 1, it's Black Friday. Number 2, it's Survivor Series time, so that's his show, baby. So we're bringing Edge in to wrap up the month here on Dads. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I have very deep sensory memories with Edge as far as his championship wins and his accomplishments. So do not be surprised if you get a few tears out of me during the course of that. More than likely a 2-hour show is posted today. So it's going to be...
Today's is going at least an hour and a half because of the stretch here.
Yes, which is fine. It's very rare we get under 2, so that's good. But
especially when music's involved.
Right. Yeah, right. Great stuff coming up here in October on both our channels. Like I said, he's reviewing some of the greatest, classic horror that, you've probably never seen because you don't go out, you don't go to the dollar theater anymore and go, see the good stuff or, go on universalmovies.com and, rent that shit or whatever. Check these reviews out, listen to what he has to say, and, make your own opinions. But I'm telling you, bread and butter, baby. Great stuff.
I've said this a couple times when we've talked on recap and on dads. I had to start at the beginning. You cannot get a good appreciation for your Michaels, your Jasons, your Freddys, your Chuckies, your Pinheads, your Leprechauns,
Jigsaw.
your Jigsaws, your The Ring. You can't get a good appreciation for those type of movies until you've seen The Phantom of the Opera, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Frankenstein, Wolfman, The Bride, The Creature, etc. So if you're a fan of the more modern age horror movies, 2022 is going to be your year because that's when we're going to be getting into some of those. But you got to start with the classics, and that is what this month is all about for me on the channel.
Well, it's funny, I talked about that. The next year is going to be when Halloween Ends premieres. So if you're okay, what do the Halloween movies? It's like that takes up more than half the month for you right there. So if you're looking forward to that, you got 367 days to go, but you're good to go. In the meantime, he is the Renegade. I am the Meech. We will see you guys next week in this time slot for 2 straight hours plus of the Mummy coverage between his channel and my channel. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be back with our Halloween songs for a Halloween party. I can't even say the damn promo right. It doesn't matter. See you guys in 2 weeks. Right here on the Dads, not always on wrestling.